Today I'm going to cover how to use social media to attract your ideal customers, and from there how to start engaging with them and build a larger platform for long-term success and sales. But first, if you're new here, I'm Sandra from Conversion Minded, and I teach bloggers and entrepreneurs how to build a business and a life that they love through online marketing. Okay, so first up, we need to identify your customers. Now, I find a lot of times there can be a gap between the people that you're targeting and the people that you're actually attracting. So that's what I want to dig into first, because that's a really, really important step. And I feel like it's the biggest challenge that entrepreneurs have, is really getting clear on your target audience and your customers. So the first thing you can do is you can look at your existing customers. You can look at the customers that you'd really like to get more of, and then maybe weed out some of the customers that aren't working as well for you. And that'll give you a good starting point. And from there, you'd want to look at your social media, some of the insights and analytics on the social media channels. So we can take Facebook, for instance. You can go right to your Facebook page, to your insights, and you can look and see the breakdown between men and women and the age ranges that you're attracting already with your content. And this is a really good way to start seeing if, in fact, the people that you're targeting are the people that you're already attracting. Super, super important. I've had some surprises. I've worked with other clients who've had surprises with this, so you might be surprised too. And if you find a gap, like let's say you feel like you're targeting professional women over the age of 35, and you're really attracting men, some women between the ages of 18 and 24, then you know that you have some work to do either with your messaging or your tone, or you want to reposition altogether who you're going after, something like that. So that is a really good way for you to kind of identify your customers and to start to be very, very clear on that. From there, once you're clear on that, then what you want to do is look at the demographics for each social channel, see how they align with both your own demographics of your existing customers and your target audience and your business model. So for instance, you may be B2B, you may be an e-commerce retailer, you may be a blogger, and the channels that you're going to use, that you're going to really want to dig into, are going to be a little bit different depending on your business type. So I'm going to try to break it down for you so that you have some direction here, and I'm going to start digging into each of the channels and the demographics just to give you an overview. So let's start with Facebook, the biggest platform. Everybody and their mother and their grandmother and their grandfather is on Facebook. So if your audience is any age range, whether it skews male or female, you're going to be able to find them on Facebook. Facebook has over 2 billion users, and that is so different from even a couple years ago. I remember giving presentations and workshops on Facebook, and it was only at 1.2 billion. So it's crazy how fast it's growing. And again, everyone you're going to find in terms of the demographics, whether it skews younger, middle age, or older, you will find them on Facebook. Now, the way that you engage with them is going to be a little bit different. You're not going to be able to just get the reach that you want organically anymore. Facebook, because they're so big, what they're saying is it's a way for them to manage the channel and manage the users on it and the activity. So they're not really, they're kind of pushing down organic reach. I know that this is nothing new. I'm sure you know that already. So you have to kind of start to get a little bit creative. You have to use Facebook groups. You have to do Facebook Live. Live platform and video is becoming huge on Facebook. They're really moving toward a video first model on that platform. They're even doing things like Facebook Watch. So definitely, get on video, start doing live streaming or recording video, and that's going to give you more reach on Facebook. And of course, you can always advertise. Advertising is going to be a way for you not only to boost the reach of your paid posts, if you boost a post or something like that, but also if you start paying, then Facebook is going to favor you and going to give your organic posts some more reach. So just a heads up that even though everybody is on Facebook, it's a little bit hard to get in front of your customer. You have to get a little bit creative with some of those strategies. Okay, if we look at LinkedIn and Twitter, Those are more B2B platforms. I think Twitter can go both ways. It can be B2B, B2C, but I really feel like it's powerful B2B. And they are, you will find men and women pretty much in equal distribution on those channels. So you're going to be fine. And age ranges, I think, it does skew a little bit younger overall on both, but not so much. You're going to be able to find your audience on both of those platforms. And then if we look at Instagram, Instagram tends to skew a little bit younger. So under the age of 35, I would say is really, really strong. And there's slightly more women on there than men, but not noticeable enough that I wouldn't market to men on Instagram. It's not a huge gap there. You'll be able to find your audience if you target men. And then if we look at Pinterest, Pinterest is really heavily female. It really skews heavily female, and the women on Pinterest are ready to buy. So if you're targeting women, you'll do very well on Pinterest. And again, I think it's a great platform for e-commerce, retailers, same as Instagram. Any creative industries, if you're a photographer, you create visual content, you create how-to, anything how-to, people love on Pinterest, so you'll do really well on that platform. Okay, so now that you have a little bit of the demographics and a breakdown of the social networks, I think the next thing is to start looking at some short-term and long-term strategies for getting in front of your customers. I think it's really important to have some quick wins because we're all independent, we all need to pay the bills, we all need to sustain ourselves. So I think it's really important to find some of those shorter strategies that will give you the sustenance as you start building your platform, which I'm going to get into in a minute. So, I think before I even get into this, I have to just say, should be obvious, but there is no straight shoot strategy. There's nothing that's going to get you from 0 to 1 million customers tomorrow, right? So there's no quick win strategy, no get rich quick schemes here. You are going to have to put in the time to each channel and really master it. And I say that because I know a lot of people say that, and I think it's very true, but I think when you start to experience it, there's a different reality that happens. For instance, I'm learning so much about LinkedIn right now, where it was a channel that I had written off for a while, and all of a sudden I started getting this crazy traffic from it, and I realized that it's really that I was not putting the time into learning how to really leverage LinkedIn for my new business model, right? It worked for me in the past, but I kind of thought that it didn't work for me anymore. And I think that this is the same for any social channel. When you put the time in, you get the results back. Effort in equals effort out on every one of these channels. So just a heads up, you're gonna want to pick your channel, dig in, really master it before you make a decision as to whether or not it's working for you and whether or not you're able to attract and engage your customers on the platform. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples of short-term strategies. So let's take Instagram. So let's say that you're a jewelry retailer and you want to get your jewelry out there. You're a designer, you want to get it out there. What you can do is you can use a site like Webstagram to actually find brands that have larger followings, some influencers, and then you can send them some samples and see if they will start to give you some shout outs. You can also pay for shout outs. There are a number of sites, you can Google them, where you can actually pay for shout outs and you can pick, the number of followers that you want to go after, and obviously you'd have to pay more for a larger number of followers. The larger the influencer, the larger your followers. But I think that there's things like, mini influencers, things like that you can go after that would be within your budget. So that's one way that you can start to get the word out there without having your own following on Instagram. You can start to build it that way. And then if you take B2B, let's look at B2B and some quick wins for that. You can use LinkedIn and specifically the Sales Navigator tool to actually zero in and search for your prospects, right? So you can create what's called a prospect profile, similar to a customer avatar. But on LinkedIn, you'd want to specify industries, you'd want to specify number of employees, you'd want to specify the revenue of the company, things like that, the actual job titles that you're going after, and then you can start to hunt them down on LinkedIn. You can use the Sales Navigator to actually create lead lists, and then from there you can start to engage with them and use another tool called quickmail.io, which is great for email outreach. You can kind of send your emails out to people in batches, make it look like they're personal emails, and you can automate the whole thing, similar to something like ConvertKit, but this is for outreach emails. So I found that to be a great way. You can also use InMail, connect with people, use InMail, send messages, those things like that. But there are a number of ways to actually use LinkedIn for what it is really, which is a social selling platform. So that's on LinkedIn. And if we look at Twitter, what I do on Twitter is something simple. When I have new followers, I have a good stream of followers now. And as I get followers, I send them a little thank you message and I give them a free resource. So this is going to start kind of segueing into building your platform. But I found that this is a great conversation starter when you do things like that. And I can start to find out more about my followers and and start to engage with them. And I use TweetDeck to manage those conversations, manage the mentions, and actually interact with people directly on Twitter. So I really feel like Twitter, like other platforms, maybe even like LinkedIn, is kind of an underrated platform. There's a lot that you can do with it once you know how to use it. Twitter is very much fast moving. You need to be sharing a lot of content. You need to be on there a lot of times. You need to just be engaging, as with any social channel, and you'll get the results. So this does bring us into how to build that platform for long-term growth. And here's where I'm going to get into creating a free resource and making sure that you have at least one free resource, like a cheat sheet, like a blueprint, an ebook, a quick worksheet, whatever it is, to help your audience and use as a sales tool. And I think that still I see entrepreneurs and business owners trying to go for a quick sale, especially with Facebook ads and things like that. They want to go direct to, you've never heard of me, to here's my product and I want you to buy it. And I really feel like you have to understand the importance of having some kind of free resource as an initial way to start to engage with people, engage with your customers, showcase your expertise. Let them know that they can trust you. Let them know that you know what you're talking about, and start the conversation in a commitment-free way. This allows them to research and kind of vet you and feel like they're doing the work. More and more, we have become a research and validate society where we want to find the brands that we work with. We don't want anybody kind of pushing their message on us. We want to be pulled into their content. We want to feel like we're doing the work. So I think you have to remember that this is the way that it works. And when you think about how you actually purchase, I think you would find that very unlikely that you are, the first time you're experiencing a brand, you are pushing that buy button. I think you have to remember this and think of yourself as the customer and what it would take for you to be convinced that this person is trustworthy, this company is trustworthy, they know what they're talking about, and you can trust them with your time and your money. So, I think that we have to think about these as transactions, and every time that we're asking somebody even to download a free resource, that they are making a transaction. It's not a monetary transaction, but there's a commitment. So I think that if you think about this, you'll realize that having a free resource is crucial, not only because it showcases your expertise and your knowledge, it provides value. It actually helps your customers do something. And so they're going to look favorably at you. And there's a number of ways that you can market that free resource. You can use it in your bio for guest posting. You can create a landing page for your free resource. You can advertise to that landing page from LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. You can include it in a blog post where it becomes a content upgrade. That's just kind of a change in phrase there. Once you put a free resource on your blog post, it's called an upgrade. But it's another way for you to drive traffic either organically or through social media or organic search or paid advertising. Drive traffic to that post and you have that content upgrade there. All of a sudden, people are starting to become in your network and you're building your audience, you're building your email list. And from there, you can start to further that relationship and work on your sales funnels to actually lead people to purchase your product. So that's kind of how it works. It's very elementary. This this is nothing new, I'm sure, for you, but I do want to underscore the importance because I still see entrepreneurs skipping this step, and it doesn't take too much effort to create a free resource that you can give people. I even used a free resource when I was prospecting on LinkedIn. This is how I would start the conversation. It was like the icebreaker, right? And so that's the way I think of these free resources. They're icebreakers. They start a conversation going in a risk-free way for your customers, and they actually help them achieve something. So very, very crucial. And then it also gives you multiple touch points. So you can advertise to it, as I mentioned. You can include it on podcast interviews if you guest podcast or if you guest blog post. You can drive traffic to it in a number of ways. So it's a really, really handy sales tool to have in your kit. So I hope that gives you an overview of how to start finding your customers on social media, then how to engage with them, deepen that relationship, and build a platform for longer term sales and success. I'm going to get more into closing the sale next time, but this time I just wanted to give you that overview to give you some starting point for social media and how to start going about connecting with your customers. I have a social media strategy blueprint, which is super helpful. I'll leave it in the comments here. You can download it, and that gives you kind of the monthly, daily, and weekly activities you should be doing to connect with your customers on social media. And it also gives you a little bit of a plan that you can create to connect the dots between the content that you're sharing and your end goal. And by end goal, I mean the promotions and products that you want to drive traffic to, that you want to kind of lead people to. So it helps you kind of connect the dots and create a content strategy. You can download it. I'll leave it in the comments. And I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel. It's a new channel for me, and I'm really excited to be popping in here weekly, giving you some tips on how to grow an online business. If you have any ideas for things that you'd love to have covered, whether it's social media marketing or email marketing or creating products or getting more customers, increasing revenue, anything, I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to cover it for you and help you out. And I will see you next time.